Now on the bench today we have an IC-756 Pro 2. A complaint on this radio is loses power after a short bet. It's full power and then after a little bit of use the power drops off. Well, let's take a look, see what we can find. Okay, the first thing I figured I'd do was take a look inside here to see if it might be the fan not engaging correctly and overheating, or if there was a bunch of dust or stuff on the heat sink. I don't see any dust, and we'll give it I'll fire it up here and see if the fan's kicking in correctly. Well, as soon as I key it, we're getting about 86 watts. The fan's kicking in. Not excessively fast, but it's not blowing air. All the cover and everything. Got to get the cover back on it, but it still isn't moving the air as quick as I would think it would need to, but it's not warmed up yet either, so that could make a difference. I'm on dummy load. And still at 85 watts. Holding it steady. 87 watts. 85.6 to 87. And the fan's kicking in. Or the fan's kicked in. So, I would say the fan's still working. But let's get her, put the top cover on her, just to maintain the heat flow, or the airflow. And let's see how long it takes before the power drops out. Okay, well, I don't know, because I just ran it for 10 minutes, almost solid 10 minutes on FM at 100 watts, and saw no decrease in RF output power. Let her get good and warm, periodically letting up and keying again, but only short bursts. But I did what I mean short bursts, like let off for a couple of seconds and then key it back up again. And see if it made a difference in whether it's going high or starting to drop in power rating. But it's not. It's holding steady. So I went through all the bands. Still got 100 watts on every band. So at this point, I'm going to have to contact the owner of the radio to see whether he's having problems in digitals, like if he's running FT8. If he's running FT8, he may be overheating the radio, and the power is dropping back because it's getting too hot. That's if he's running his power too high. You don't want to run 100 watts on FT8 constantly. It's not very good for the radio. Or whether it's in sideband, or whether AM, or whether it's FM. Even running it almost 10 minutes at almost constant all the time, and no dropout. I don't see how even under FT8 it would give up on the power. But it's possible. So let me get a hold of the guy and see what he has to say. After talking to the owner, it doesn't seem to be his antennas. I thought it might have been like an end-fed half wave, or a dipole, or something using a 4-to-1 balance that has a tendency to heat up when you're running high power. If it's only like a single 140/43 toroid, with 100 watts, it would heat up and change the impedance on the antenna. Even a 240/43 would also heat up and change the impedance at 100 watts, but it just take a little longer. But he's running an end-fed, but it's a DX Engineering antenna. Supposed to handle 250 watts on digital. So that should be more than sufficient for 100 watts on digital. It's supposed to be good for a kilowatt on sideband. So it doesn't seem to be his antennas, even his vertical. So we'll have to go through and see what else is going on. Okay, well, I took and plugged the radio in last night, ran it for a few hours, and it got hot. Just sitting there in receive mode, it got hot. The back of it here got up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, which is high for receive mode. Even with the regulators, that's just too much. Here it's setting without the radio even turned on. It's just plugged in. It's getting warm. So what I needed to check is to see if we have any leaky transistors, any leaky final transistors, to see if there's bias there in receive or even turned off. Well, we go here to the finals. Oh, let me get my hand out of the way. We got 0.028. Okay, 0.03. Okay, that's within reason. That's below the biasing. Same with that one. That's below the biasing current, or the biasing voltage. Okay, let's go back here to the drivers. We got 0.73. Now that's above. That's above the biasing voltage. Let's go over here to the other one. And 0.8. Okay, that's well above. Let's go to the pre-driver. And we got 0.16. That's below. So, this is the highest one. I would say we have a leaky transistor right here, because that's even getting warm just sitting there with the radio turned off, with it just plugged in. That shouldn't be at all. We're supposed to have, according to the schematics, 0 volts in receive. Let's take and go down here. That's at 143 degrees already. That transistor is at 159. Let's see here. No, 135. Okay, let's go over to this one. And 129. Even though that one there reads lower than that one, this is the one that's getting hot. I can touch there. Over here, it's to the point it's almost unbearably touched. I guess I haven't figured out my temperature thing here yet. I must be doing something wrong. I'll get it figured out later, but manually touching, I can tell. So I think we have a leaky collector to base on that, because she is definitely getting warm here. So our back housing, let's try this thing again. It's a dual laser, and I guess for this I shouldn't use a dual laser. 81 degrees already. 81.7. It's not that warm in here. So it's getting up there. Let me pull the base pin, or base pin, and see if we still have voltage there. Okay, let me show you on the schematics here what I'm talking about. Over here's the 1972s. The bias voltage here, there is no bias voltage, no place for bias voltage to come in. The only place it gets its bias voltage is through the transformer. So there should be 0 volts. According to here, RX receives 0 volts, TX at 0.68. Okay, the 0.68 is your bias voltage. So that comes through the transformer. And we have 0.8 at this one, 0.7 at this one. So that tells me that we got a leak through to the base, and its bias is backfeeding to the other one. So that's why I want to pull the base leg and see if the bias voltage goes away. Alright, let me pull that leg and we'll see what we got. Okay, sure enough, we've got a leaky transistor. Let's go back to the bias here again. The driver biasing, 0 volts in receive, where we had 0.7 volts, which was keeping these transistors biased and pulling current all the time. Check this driver, we're back to 0. I pulled the base tab. I'm up against the base tab. We got 1.1 volts on the base of the transistor. Sure enough, we've got a leaky collector to base, which was causing the drivers to have bias current on them all the time, which there isn't supposed to be any bias unless you're in transmit. So, let me see if I can find myself a 1972. Well, as you can see, on our bench, we have a different radio on the bench than the ICOM. The ICOM, I got a hold of a 1972 for it and put it in, took care of the whole problem. The gentleman brought the part over. He bought it instead of me buying it. And we put it in, and sure enough, that took care of the issue, putting out full power and running cool now. It was drawing like 4 amps with the radio turned off with the old 1972. So we pulled that out and put the new one in, and it was drawing 1 amp turned on. It was drawing 0 amps turned off, and about 1 amp and a half or so turned on and received. So that took care of that, and buttoned it up and sent it home. The gentleman was here to pick it up, so I didn't have a chance to finish out the video on it. But this one here that's on the bench right now is one that'll be coming up if everything goes right. It's a Cobra 2000. It's a rescue. So we'll be catching you a little bit later, and please like and subscribe. You all have yourself a great day.